This is my October update on my 112 gallon average reef. There haven't been too many changes this month. For the most part, things are doing well. I did do a little bit of cut back here. I just miss seeing my dendros. They're one of my favorite corals. They're kind of tucked away back here in a cave, but this digitata was in the way and a few other things, so I cut them out and now you can see them again. Well, I'm quite happy with how things are in the tank. I'm 95% sure that next year is going to be the last year for this tank. And now I've said this before and I say it to many of my friends in real life. Oh, I'm going to get a new tank when I move. I'm going to get a new tank when I move. Well, it really doesn't seem like I'm going to move anytime soon. I would love to, but I'm kind of invested in these millions of tanks I have set up here. So I don't really see tearing them all down and starting over somewhere anytime too soon. So with that being the case, I'm thinking of maybe not getting my dream tank, but just buying a new tank next year, even if it's off the shelf. If I get a 220, which is pretty much the biggest tank you can get that's off the shelf, it would almost double my water volume. And while most people don't like it, I would really love 30 inches tall. This is only 24, and the Gorgonian does stick out of the water. I have this humongous Signalaria, and I just like big, tall corals. So I think it would be really fun to have a tall tank. The other thing is, tall tanks, they just look so much bigger than they really are. So I figure I'll get that 220 if I can't really swing anything better. If I do have enough money, I'm thinking maybe a 280, which would be 6 feet by 30 by 30. Obviously a custom tank would be 3 times as much, if not more. But it's something to consider. Long term, I do hope to get a big reef tank one day, but that's probably a few years away. Still though, this tank is from 2006. It was moved once, and it's probably just time for a new one based on the fact that it's so old. Never mind the fact that I don't have room for new coral. The one other issue I have though is my floor is pretty much destroyed. You can't really see it now since it's dark, but there's a lot of water damage on this old laminate floor. When I first moved in 6 years ago, I was really careful, you know. There's plywood under my stand to prevent water damage onto the tank, but the real problem is right in front of the tank, all the little drips and drops and splashes. So the floor will have to be replaced, and that's when I'll switch the tank. So given that that's going to be pretty costly, there may not be room in the budget for a custom tank, but an off-the-shelf tank I can certainly swing. Still, the majority of the corals in here are doing well, and there's even one of my rare cleanup crew members. I have 1, maybe 2 Halloween hermits in here. I don't even think there are any more snails. I've been looking around before I started the video and I haven't seen any. I do have thousands of the little Constella snails or whatever they're called, the little guys. And then there's astrinas and all kinds of other critters. But I'm really not big on buying cleanup crew. Partially because, well, there's no algae in the tank because there's very little exposed rock. But just the pain of quarantining the inverts and all that. I mean, that's the same reason why I don't have a ton of fish. Because I have so many captive bred fish in the other room. It's really risky bringing in new wild fish. The one coral that is struggling is this big acro colony. You can see quite a bit at the bottom has died off. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it just stopped being touched by this weather. It's not an overly exciting piece, so if I have to chop half of it out, that's really not the end of the world. You can see the part growing on the glass is still quite green. The water parameters are fine, so it's probably just chemical warfare. These grandies over here, for a while, these 2 polyps at the top were completely bleached out. And it was only the fact that they're so toxic I didn't cut them out. But they've pretty much colored back up. Maybe another month they'll look like the other ones. otherwise, it's just business as usual. The tank is doing fine. There's not much else to report. I still like it. You can see I just recently cleaned the pumps. The back is still scraped. You know, this is a display tank, so I treat it like a display tank. Sometimes that means corals grow over other corals. But the main goal is to have a nice full tank. It's not about one little coral or one rainbow coral. It's about the reef as a whole. So I'm going to continue to make these videos, and hopefully at some point next year they'll be on a new tank. If you have any constructive criticism, feel free to leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and happy reefing.